What does 1 plus 1 equal?
90.
What? No. Alright. Imagine you have $1.
Uh-huh.
Now add another dollar to that.
Uh-huh.
So how many dollars do you have?
Well, you'd have $2.
Okay, good. So what does 1 plus 1 equal?
90.
Yep, that's right. With IQUNIX, 1 plus 1 equals 90. Well, at least it does when it comes to the super 1 plus 1 keyboard. Turns out 1 plus 1 means IQUNIX plus U, or your preferences plus IQ.
IQUNIX.
IQUNIX. Okay. Anyways, considering the board I'm unboxing today is the TKL version, the 1 plus 1 equals 90 makes a little more sense since this layout is technically 90% that of a full size. This board comes with many accessories and has a nice unboxing experience. Included is a metal keycap and switch puller, a lovely braided coiled USB cable with an aviator connector, a packet with screw and stabs, case feet and spare plate gaskets, a metal screwdriver with interchangeable bits, a USB dongle for wireless connectivity, some stickers, and a manual. Inside this third box is a bag of IQUNIX's Moonstone switches. These are not included with the board by default, but can be purchased as an add-on with the board. They're light pre-loop linear switches with a pretty deep sound signature and an interesting RGB diffuser. These are pretty nice, and if you're into the deeper sound profile, they're really good. Also, the loop application is not bad and the switches are very smooth. Now under those boxes is a plastic sheet with the function key layers, which lets you adjust system volume, brightness, and the board's RGB. The top part of the box lifts off to expose a second compartment. Here we have a spare plate which I think is polycarbonate, but to be honest it looks more like POM. POM is not currently listed as an available plate on the product page, so I don't know, man. Finally, here is the board itself. According to IQUNIX, the board was inspired by Tetris, which explains the separate, different colored pieces. There will be options for solid colors if the Tetris theme isn't your taste. On the back is a wedge with a cool mirror weight with 1 plus 1 written on it. Personally, I'm really not a huge fan of the text on it, but to each their own. All 7 parts that make up the case are CNC'd aluminum, with the main case pieces being E-coated. The finish feels premium and looks really good. This board has a lot of different parts and is very confusing, so let's disassemble it and see how it's built. First of all, we have the bottom wedge, with the weight screwed onto the bottom. As you can see, there are 2 slots for the batteries to fit in and a daughter board with a ribbon cable. Personally, I hate ribbon cables. They're really hard to work with and I prefer JST. Next up are the 2000 mAh batteries that sit in the case and power the wireless connectivity of the board. I assume these are only included with the wireless PCBs, so if you get a wired PCB, I'd expect maybe to see like foam blocks where the batteries would otherwise go. Here are the top case pieces. The one that sits around the main parts of the board like the alphas is white and has a cool caps lock indicator, which unfortunately also connects to the PCB with a ribbon cable. The top case piece that sits above the other side of the board is made of 3 different colored parts. And here is the main lowercase piece that the PCBs sit in. This has a lot of holes for ribbon cables to connect and yeah, that's about it. It's pretty boring. The plate that's installed by default is the FR4 plate. This thing has a ridiculous number of flex cuts and has pre-applied foam gaskets. In terms of foam, there's 1 layer of plate foam, 1 layer of thin case foam, and 1 layer of thicker case foam with hot swap socket cutouts. Since the board has 2 PCBs for the main section and nav cluster, here's the assembly for the smaller chunk. I didn't take it apart since I don't need to install any stabs, so yeah. Finally, here's the PCB. It has south-facing hot swap sockets with perky RGB, no flex cuts, I believe it's 1.6mm thick, it has support for QMK and IQUNIX's own software, and it has a layer of PE foam that's attached with adhesive. Based off of the adhesive, I'm pretty sure IQUNIX wants us to use the PE foam, so I'ma just leave it on there. Oh, there's also a ribbon cable to attach to the little PCB, which makes sense in this case, but I still don't like ribbon cables. I forgot to mention, this board comes with screw and stabs, which are actually really good. The only problem is IQUNIX sent me one with a 6.25U stab, and 3 2U stabs. I need 4 2U stabs, dude, y'all shorted me. I had an extra ACO stab laying around, which I used, but IQUNIX, please make sure you include 4 2Us in the group buy unit since not everyone is going to have an extra stab sitting around. Anyways, I'm done complaining. Let's get to the build. First, I'll install the stabs with a bit of magic. On goes the plate foam and the FR4 plate. Next, I'll drop in the switches. Alright, next up is the bottom case. I'll be using both the thin bottom case foam sheet and the thicker PCB case foam. There's a lot of ribbon cables, so I had to go and redo a lot of the build process after forgetting one here and there. Now we'll install the top case pieces. The battery packs go into little pockets on the back of the case. Last for the case, on goes the bottom wedge. The ribbon cable for the USB-C port on this thing killed me. It took like 20 minutes to shimmy the cable into the port. Finally, I'm using the Tetris keycaps, which like the switches are an add-on for the board. They're double shot PBT and they're pretty nice, though the printing definitely could be better. Alright, let's hear how this thing sounds. Even though it's not very popular anymore, I can appreciate the foamed out, marbly sound signature this board produces. In the future, I'll probably try it without as much foam, but for now I like this configuration. In terms of feel, there's very little flex to speak of despite the ridiculous number of flex cuts on the plate. It would definitely be softer without the case foam. In terms of how it looks, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty funky. On one hand, I really like the quality and finish of the board, but on the other, the colors are a bit polarizing. And the compact F-row looks really weird, almost like a super compact 75%. Also, the 9-key chunk above the arrow keys looks kinda awkward. This board is definitely not my style, but if you like it, then go for it. Also, during the group buy, IQUNIX is gonna offer solid colors, so if you don't like this different color pieces, then you can go for one of those. So would I recommend this board? At $350 for the wired version and $370 for the wireless version, it's pretty expensive. If you like the look and sound and you can afford it, then by all means go ahead. To be honest, even though the quality is really nice, this probably isn't going to be something a ton of people will be interested in, and it's definitely not something I would personally buy, partially because I'm broke. Also, I wouldn't recommend this to a beginner because I've built dozens of keyboards and I really struggle with this build. There's a lot of different parts and it can get very confusing. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching, and thank you IQUNIX for sending out the board. See you guys later. Bye! So what does 1 plus 1 equal? 90. No. Alright, let's start again. Say you have one keycap, and then you get another keycap. How many do you have now? 2. Okay, so what's 1 plus 1? 90. Oh, come on!